Okay, in some situations, you may be interested in finding the length of a line, right? So we have a line on the Cartesian plane. We want to know how long it is, right? We have a line on the Cartesian plane. We want to know how long it is. So let's say the line starts from this first point and stretches all the way to that point there. So we have a line in between those 2 points. Give it a different color there. And let's say the first point has the coordinates x1, y1, and then the second point is x2, y2. So we want to know how long that line is. Well, it's simple. We use this formula. Length of line, L, if L represents length of line, is equal to square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So length of that line will be given by difference in x values squared plus difference in y values squared, and then you square root. Right? So this is the formula. We're going to use it. But for those of you who want to understand where this comes from Pythagoras theorem, right? If we do this, right, if we trace these two lines, we essentially come up with a right-angled triangle. And what we realize is that this side, the orange side, is actually the longest side of the right-angled triangle. Now, we know according to Pythagoras theorem, a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. Therefore, a will be equal to, if I take squared that side, square root of b squared plus c squared, right? So, if we look at the distance from there to there, is the difference between the x values. This is x2, that's x1. So x2 minus x1 will give you that distance, which is b squared. And then this from there to there is the difference between the y values. So y2 minus y1 will give you that distance c, and then that's the squared. So for those of you who want to understand where that comes from, you can tell that it actually comes from the Pythagoras theorem. But for those of you who are less adventurous, who are satisfied with just memorizing the formula, that's the formula for finding length of a line. Now let's just do a quick example to satisfy that. So a line AB has start at A. Well, it's obvious it has a start at A, and the point A we can make it to 7 and ends at B, and for B we can make it 5 and 11. Find the length of the line. Okay, so let's take it to the next page. We have 2, 7 and 5, 11. So 2, 7, 5, 11. This is our x1, y1. That's our x2, y2. Right? Our length is going to be square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So L is going to be equal to square root of 5, because that's our x2, our x1 is 2, plus 11 minus 7 squared. So 5 minus 2 is 3, so that gives you 3 squared, plus 11 minus 7 is 4, so that gives you 4 squared. So L is equal to 3 squared, 3 times 3, 9, 4 squared, 4 times 4, 16, right? So we have L is equal to 9 plus 16. So L is equal to square root of 9 plus 16. 9 plus 16 is 25, so L is equal to square root of 25. L is equal to 5 units. Okay, these are not centimeters. These are simply units. So that's how you find the length of a line. Okay, so let's move on to the midpoint of a line, right? Midpoint of a line. Okay, so again, let me just have 2 points. I have a point there and a point there. Then we have our orange line stretching from the first point to the last point. Now, what is the central point, the midpoint? M, right? Right. We want to find the coordinates of the central point M. Now again, if the first point is x1 and y1, and the last point is x2, y2, right? The midpoint will just have the first x value being x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and the y value being y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, so you add the x values, divide by 2, you get your x value for your midpoint. You add the y values, you divide by 2, you get your y value for your midpoint. Let's try an example. So find the midpoint of the line CD, where C is this point 1, 4, and D is this point 5, 6. Okay, so if we take these points, let's just have our solution. Our 1, 4 is our x1, y1. And our 5, 6 is our x2, y2. Right? Our midpoint is going to be x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So our midpoint will have our x values 1 plus 5 divided by 2. 1 plus 5 divided by 2. And our y values, right, 4 plus 6 divided by 2. 4 plus 6 divided by 2. So our midpoint will be 1 plus 5 is 6 over 2. And then our y value 4 plus 6 is 10 over 2. So our midpoint will be 6 divided by 2, 3. And 10 divided by 2, 5. So those are the coordinates of our midpoint.